All right. Where presidential candidate Vivek Ramaswamy stands on marijuana and psychedelics. Shout out to my one of my close friends, Jason Beck, for allowing me to get this morning so I can be able to inform you guys on Vivek Ramaswamy is currently the only major 2024 GOP presidential candidate to publicly support not just legalizing marijuana, but also taking steps to provide regulated access to certain psychedelics with a focus on therapeutic use. But the 38-year-old entrepreneur has also made sometimes conflicting comments about his drug policy positions, seemingly walking back more bold calls for reform and challenging reports on what specific proposals he's endorsed. And while he's in favor of legalization, he's also called for expanding the Drug Enforcement Administration (DEA), raising eyebrows in the reform community. Ramaswamy has made a habit of grabbing headlines since entering the race, especially after the first Republican presidential primary debate, where he raised his national profile by closely aligning himself with former President Donald Trump and seizing the moment speaking time, despite sharing the stage with candidates like former Vice President Mike Pence and Florida Governor Ron DeSantis. But he has so far not proactively raised cannabis or psychedelic issues during the debates. Instead, he's focused much on his drug policy rhetoric, on the campaign trail, on his plan to use the U.S. military to annihilate Mexican cartels in response to fentanyl crisis. To the fentanyl crisis. Swami's competitors for the GOP nomination include Trump, DeSantis. He has no competitors. Donald Trump is the nominee. Let's just say that. Trump, DeSantis, Pence, former New Jersey Governor Chris Christie, U.S. Senator Tim Scott, former Arkansas Governor Hutchinson, former South Carolina Governor Nikki Haley, and South Dakota's Governor Doug Burgum. None of them are any of Donald Trump's competitors. This is just a waste of time. Let's get back to the story. On one hand, Ramaswamy has voiced support for the federally legalized marijuana, a stance that separates him from the GOP pack of candidates, as well as an incumbent Democrat President Joe Biden, who has rhetorically drawn the line at legalizing medical cannabis and simply decriminalizing marijuana for recreational use. Sorry, you guys, I'm trying to pull this up while I'm reading at the same time. Vivek is in favor of a federal legalization of marijuana. His campaign said in August of 2023, the current state legalization farce contributes to the culture of law breaking. It's literally against the law for us to pretend otherwise, only undermines the rule of law in this country. He's previously discussed the need to decriminalize cannabis, acknowledging that it's not a popular position in the Republican Party, but he says it's important for him to speak the truth. Ramaswamy has also gone further on the drug policy front by embracing psychedelic access and at one point suggesting that there should be broader drug decriminalization at some point, describing it as an important piece of a more comprehensive drug policy. I support decriminalization of, I don't know how to pronounce that, ayahuasca, and ketamine for veterans suffering from PTSD to prevent the epidemic of fentanyl and suicide. He said in a tweet that came in response to a Fox News article that the candidate criticized because of how it framed his overall decriminalization stance. He called the article "more planted trash." Despite painting himself as the victim of a media smear, however, Ramaswamy did not specifically which portions of the Fox report, if any, were inaccurate. And while his campaign response clarified his position on marijuana, it did not address his comments on other drugs. In fact, in June of 2023 interview, Ramaswamy repeatedly described decriminalization as an important piece of a more comprehensive drug policy, emphasizing his view that tighter border security and reduced U.S. Demand for drugs are also essential. I think in the long run, and I'm talking about over a long run period of time, decriminalization serially is an important part of the long run solution. He said during the appearance at the Porcupine Freedom Festival. I don't know how to pronounce it. I don't know if I said Porcupine. I think I said that right. Porcupine Freedom Festival in New Hampshire. Goswami said at the event that he's skeptical of prohibition and is not a war on drugs person. He also stressed the availability of psychedelics as a viable alternative for people who are suffering from mental health conditions. I'm probably the only person in the modern history of our party that is open to a conversation about, for veterans at least, let's start with the PTSD, where there's good evidence for psychedelics from ayahuasca to ketamine. Vaswamy
Ayahuasca.
said you could ayahuasca. Thank you. Ayahuasca to ketamine. Vaswamy said you could actually have an open discussion about rationally giving people off ramps. I personally know parents whose kids have died and believe and think on good authority that their kids could have at least survived by having an alternative path, he said. But then there's the other side of the candidate's drug policy philosophy, one that calls into question the anti-drug war narrative. Vaswamy supports an extreme and militarized approach to the fentanyl overdose crisis, sending U.S. troops to the southern border to annihilate Mexican cartels in a shock and awe campaign. I would deploy the U.S. military to protect our own border instead of someone else's, and I will annihilate the Mexican cartels. That's how you end fentanyl crisis, which kills 50 times the number of Americans each year versus the number who died on 9/11. He said in April of 2023, I refuse to be a passive buffoon who sits in the White House simply watching it happens. We're going to finally solve this problem. I just want to say before I ask you guys what you think, that where I stand with him indefinitely is sending the United States military to crush the Mexican cartels once and for all. But the reason why it won't realistically happen is because then they would have to knock off the DEA. What do you guys out there think? And my co-host, what do you think?
I think I know Jason is a big fan of Vivek Ramaswamy, but he's always talking out of both sides of his mouth, and he also is Martin Shkreli, the pharma bro. He's one of his good friends, and he made the majority of his money off of a bullshit Alzheimer drug pump and dump scam. How you feel about that? Big pharma plant, Vivek Ramaswamy.
Some people said he was Barack Obama 2.0. What do you think about that? And I want to say to my brother Rico, thank you very much for helping me with the pronunciation, because I had my other brothers here, and they didn't even help me at all. So I want to appreciate you. I want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart, Rico. I'm throwing them under the bus. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for helping me out. You stopped me from sounding like an imbecile. Stone, what do you think? What do you think about Vivek's stance? Do you think what me and Rico are saying has any validity, or do you think that the man should be given a chance?
I can't stand this dude. He's slimier than whatever super slimy. I don't know, man. I wouldn't trust that guy with anything. The cartels in Mexico suck, but we can't just go and wage war on the cartels. I'm all for taking them out one way or another, but I don't know, dude. I don't trust that guy. I'd love to hear what Jason loves the guy. I'd love you to give me some shiny points of the man.
Yeah, you're
Jason,
muted if I can
can
get
you
Jason.
sell us on Vivek? I'm on the fence still. I was supposed to have had a meeting with him, and I was supposed to walk him through Brooklyn. Honestly, the reason why it didn't happen, I would have to say it's my fault, because I just never called back. You know what I mean? Like, I just never called back. I'm serious. Like, they called me, reached out to me after I tweeted to Vivek. Vivek said sure. I asked Jason. I showed him everything, and then they reached out to me. I spoke to his campaign manager for maybe 25 minutes. We agreed on having him come to Brooklyn. I will walk him through Brooklyn, but then as I just continued to see him move around, it's not like I know anything indefinite, but I just go with my gut, and my gut is just telling me this shit is just too good to be true. You know what I mean? So I couldn't put myself in a situation where my face will be walking this guy through Brooklyn, New York, and I'm giving him a stamp of approval. It would have just been bad for me personally if he turns out to be.
Right. Jason, you've been muted, brother.
Oh no,
Want to
I'm
hear
not
your take
muted.
on your boy.
I
There we
mean,
go.
I think this is fantastic. I mean, he's the only person that's actually even having a conversation and addressing these issues that is currently running for vice president. So I think that this is fantastic.
It's running for vice.
Yeah.
I see what you
He's
did.
a genius.
I am a big fan of this, and this is a fantastic starting point for him to just be coming out with an opening position on. And so now
He's not gonna get it.
It doesn't. But stop the point. You're missing the point. It's the point that he's beating a fucking great drum, and I'm loving this drum, and I'm gonna keep on banging this drum because this drum needs to get banged.
But what happens 4 or 5 years down? 4 or 5 years down the line, when you find out that drum was manufactured by Pfizer?
I mean,
What happens then?
Yeah, you know what's funny is I actually had a whole conversation about this on my trip in regards with that side of him, and I'm happy to share a little bit offline of what I have learned, and to me, I'm not too worried about that because Big Pharma actually doesn't like Vivek Ramaswamy in the first place.
I think that Big Pharma has a great deal of control in terms of perception.
Mhm.
And if they want you to think something, that they can make you think that. And if they want you to think that they don't like this guy, then they will make you think that. But if they didn't like this guy, then he wouldn't. The one thing I know about the machine is that when the machine don't like you, it crushes you.
That is
And
what it does.
there isn't one part of the machine that isn't cohesive with the next. So if the machine in politics doesn't like you, then the machine in media crushes you, as well as politics. It's just an all-around thing. And then the pharmaceutical companies, the people who are, because those are the big donors, these people are not going to donate to you. They will crush you and encompass you with crushing you. You won't be able to endorse a cockroach. It'd be over for you when the machines come for you. So it's hard for me to believe that a part of the machine doesn't like this guy or is disillusioned with this guy, and then they allow him to parade around here and run around here all pretty, because he's a pretty dude. He's sharp, he's articulate, he's highly educated, he's rich. I mean, shit, he's the poster boy for kiss my ass, I'm gonna do it. Right? But we've seen it before with Barack Obama, and this is the problem. We've seen a pretty
I'll tell you
clean-cut,
what,
well-spoken
you guys making that comparison is the one thing that does freak me out about him. I can't even that's 100% reality.
And him pulling Barack Obama's exact word and putting them into on the Republican debate stage. It's fantastic.
I mean,
and then you got to listen to his cadence. So when he's delivering himself, he delivers himself like a pastor or a preacher. They often do this because they realize that it makes white people feel that they're more trustworthy, and then it makes black people feel more submissive to them, because black people become submissive when they go to church. You understand? Like when they hear that tone, they become more submissive. This just is embedded in black people because we love the Lord. You understand what I'm saying? So when you hear it, you like, well, damn, let me just.
Do you know why Barack Obama actually got elected?
Because he talked like a preacher.
No,
and he was sharp.
nope. So I'm gonna give you guys a little history lesson real quick.